Yeah, I guess the show started. I don't know what's going on here. I thought we were going to do a standby screen, but it didn't seem to work. Maybe the team can help me out. Are we live? I think we are live. Welcome to Ringside Report MMA. We're going to preview UFC 285 tonight on the show. Let's start.
Let's go!
I don't know what the hell happened there. I was not prepared to start the show. I thought I had 5 minutes.
What you gotta do, Dave?
You know what? I should have told you. I'm like, I didn't see the countdown, but I saw the timer going down.
Well, something happened, and then it didn't happen. I need to go get a drink. You guys take over the show, all right?
Damn!
I'll be
Welcome
back.
to the live show, man. RingsideReport.net. There's always action. If Dave is leaving, there's two things that can happen. Either he closes the show completely, or he really needs a drink. So much for the 5 minutes. Freddie, it's a big weekend, man. Are you coming, by the way, to the live show?
Of course not.
Ah.
I'm watching it
But
from
you're gonna.
home.
Yeah, Freddie, come on, man. We could do like the whole make a night of it, man. We could go to Delalo's. We can go to.
Nope.
It's not the same, dude. It's not the same.
Home is perfect.
That it is, dude. It is. But sometimes you just gotta escape. So what are we talking about? What's happening with NASCAR, by the way? What happened, on the weekend?
Kyle Busch, man. Kyle Busch won, man. It
He
was a
pulled it
great
off?
win. Yeah, man. And Kyle Busch, man, he went from a big team last year to a smaller team now this year, man. And this guy's just winning, man. It's incredible. He's been running good all season, man. Kyle Busch is on fire, man. He might be one of the all-time greats, man. I think he is.
What happened? Did the
I
show
don't know.
turn into a
AJ didn't know.
NASCAR show? I just abandoned the show. I need that
Redneck
5
show,
minutes.
man.
I press the thing. It gives me 5 minutes. I go get a drink. I come back. I say goodnight to the kids. I come back. I need that 5 minutes buffer time. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, here's my 5 minutes, and I don't get my 5 minutes. The show started, so I had to leave and
Man,
go
you
get a
missed it,
drink.
dude.
And
We were
say
talking
goodnight
about
to my
Trump.
kids.
Listen, we were talking about Trump.
What?
No, we-
Gordon
no, we
Ryan.
didn't.
We were
What?
talking
No, we
about
didn't.
yeah, man.
Jeez, don't scare me, AJ.
Just saying.
God
dude.
almighty. We're previewing UFC 285 here tonight. I'm very excited about UFC 285. We've got one of our favorite fighters of all time returning to the octagon. Very excited to see the great Shavkat Rakhmonov in the cage. And, of course, Jon Jones and Cyril Gane in the main event. But Shavkat is fighting on Saturday, guys, which I'm very, very hyped about here. We've got a UFC 285 watch-along set for Saturday night here on the Ringside Report Network at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Bo Nickel will open up that pay-per-view against Jamie Pickett, highly touted Bo Nickel, high-level wrestler, undefeated fighter. He opens the pay-per-view as a gigantic favorite. We'll give you our parlay picks here on the show tonight. Mateusz Gamrot and Jalen Turner in a battle of two of the top 155-pounders in the world. A massive fight there at lightweight. Then you've got Shavkat Rakhmonov, the undefeated fighter from Uzbekistan. He is an Uzbek fighting out of Kazakhstan. He takes on Jeff Neal. Shavkat is one of the top welterweight prospects in the world. Then we've got the reigning, defending women's flyweight champion Valentina the Bullet Shevchenko defending against Alexa Grasso in our co-main event. And the main event for the vacant heavyweight championship of the world, Johnny Bones Jones returns after 3 years away from the cage to take on Le Bon Gamin from Paris, France, Cyril Gane, AJ's best friend. And I'll say it for AJ because I know AJ's going to go on and on if we don't acknowledge him. AJ was the one who told you about Cyril Gane years ago. AJ was the one promoting Cyril Gane. AJ met Cyril Gane, and Cyril Gane kissed him on the head and said, AJ, I will be champion one day. And AJ believed it, and he said, thank you, Cyril. I love you. And he rubbed his belly, and they moved along about their lives. But ever since that moment, they were connected at the head and belly, and they will they will rejoice
Prevail.
or perhaps cry on Saturday night.
No crying, bud. No
Is
crying.
that really how
But
it
don't
happened?
forget.
No.
Well, pretty much close. It was close, actually. It was actually not too far away there. That was almost the truth there. I mean, we did rub shoulders, and I kind of did rub his belly at one point because I wanted to check his abs. But I'm going to tell you something. You forgot that I held the belt. You know, I was. Thank you, Dave, for acknowledging that. But you forgot to say I acknowledged it.
You don't have to go
before all
on
the
now.
rest.
I did the bit.
No, you didn't. You didn't
met
say I was there
Cyril
before
Gane
Ariel
before
Helwani,
he was in the
like-
UFC, and you said that he was going to be great, and he is great, and you take credit for it more than Cyril's own mother.
Well, the truth is that, man. It was like I saw it. I saw that magic in him, and like I saw like what he did here to win the TKO championship,
Yes.
just because he was so big. And the way he moved, that's what freaked me out the most.
But
Like,
he's
I could
lazy.
not believe his movement. He's not lazy. That's a complete
his own
like,
words.
falsehood. Yeah, listen, you're allowed to be lazy when you're not fighting. You're allowed to have your pizza and your,
Think
you
Jon
know, your,
Jones is playing GTA?
oh, 100%, man.
Nope.
He's living it, but
He's
not
training.
playing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, he's living it.
Yeah, Freddie's got a point there, man.
Yep.
One for Freddie. But you know what?
-5
All
for
to say,
AJ.
not yet. Listen,
AJ's
dude,
man, Cyril Gane, is fighting on Saturday, and AJ couldn't be more excited because he's not only the world's biggest Cyril Gane super fan, but he's also the world's biggest Jon Jones hater. So two worlds just colliding perfectly for AJ on Saturday night, and I'm very excited as well because I like fighting, and I like both guys. I think they're both great fighters, and I'm very excited to see a tremendous fight on Saturday. We'll talk about that fight. We'll give you our fight picks here in just a minute. There's some other stuff we should get to. Big signings from the bare knuckle boxing world. Two former UFC champions signed to bare knuckle boxing. Darren Till has requested his release from the UFC and got it granted. He's released now, no longer a UFC fighter. And Kyle Busch. I know Fred wanted to talk about Kyle Busch, but I think maybe you already did when the show started.
Did?
I don't know. Are you
well,
done
there's
with Kyle Busch?
Busch,
I'm
Bo
not sure.
Nickel,
He's not
and all
sure.
that. They all tie in.
We'll revisit.
Right.
We'll revisit Kyle Busch later on. And AJ wants to take issue with something that Dan Lambert, the American Top Team owner, said on the Chris Jericho podcast. AJ, before the show, was like, Chris Jericho said MMA sucks and wrestling's better. And I was like, Jericho said this? What? And he's like, oh, no,
it's
it
in the
was
podcast.
Dan Lambert on the Jericho podcast. He's really just blaming Jericho for some things Lambert said. Lambert really didn't even say anything that offensive, but we can get to the quotes a little bit later on because I know AJ was
But
upset. And I like when
we should
AJ's
start-
mad. It's funny.
I think we should start by making AJ mad and not spending much time on saying, like, the Jake Paul hype train is done. It's finished.
No,
Thank
no,
you.
no,
Goodbye.
no,
See you.
no, no,
Don't
no,
let the door
no,
hit
no,
you
no.
in the back.
Mhm.
Whoa! Hold
I
that.
think it's over.
Reigns there.
It's over.
I watched
Oh,
that fight. You guys
He
didn't watch
lost.
that fight, man.
He lost
Lost
to
to a
Tommy
jabroni.
Fury.
Listen, Tommy Fury, man, it was 8-0 getting into this fight. Professional boxer, the brother of Tyson Fury, man, from the Great Fury fighting clan. This guy
Nobody.
he fought.
A
That was
nobody.
probably his best fight that I saw Tommy fight, like, in the last fights that he's actually done. Listen, it was a great fight. It was exciting. And I got to give it to Jake Paul, man. You got to give it to that guy because he stood there and he went at it. But listen, he didn't fight his best fight. That wasn't Jake Paul's best fight. And to be honest, maybe the excuse is true. He wasn't well. He wasn't at his 100%. But let me tell you something. He did knock down Tommy Fury. He put down Tommy Fury for an 8 count. And let me tell you, that was impressive. So all you
That's
can
the
say
only
is
highlight he had.
he
That's
did.
the only
But you know
highlight
what?
he had.
Listen, man,
He
he
lost
fought
every
pretty
other
well.
round.
Not really. I don't think he lost every other
Oh,
round. I
yeah,
thought
he
he
did.
won a few rounds, but they were close, man. Look, Tommy Fury fought well. Jake Paul didn't fight his best. He still got an 8 count, like taking down Tommy Fury. The crowd was crazy. He wins no matter what. He got over 500,000 pay-per-views. Even some of the best boxers that are out there in the last decades
The hype
cannot even
train's
come close
finished.
to that.
Yeah.
No, it's not. You
Hype
know why?
train's
The hype
finished.
train is just going to start because they're going to have a rematch, and I can assure you this. It's going to be a little bit closer than you think. Listen, man, I even saw something from Dylan Danis trying to say that it was scripted. Did you see that whole thing? That
Nope.
they actually had like a WWE script where it was like laid out like round for round, and that
Yeah,
the
I
AD
saw that
would like
script.
drop.
I saw that script, but the fight didn't play out the way the script
Yeah, exactly.
said. So who
Not at
cares?
all.
No,
And you say Tommy Fury is a real boxer. I'll tell you who Tommy Fury is. Tommy Fury, he's Maurice Petty. You know who Maurice Petty is? Maurice Petty is the brother of Richard Petty. And why do I say that? Because people this week, man,
It's
Kyle
Petty.
Busch and Kurt Busch, they became the winningest brothers in NASCAR. But the truth is, the winningest brothers in NASCAR are the Petty brothers with Richard and Maurice. Richard has like over 100 wins, and Maurice has 0 wins. So that's who Tommy Fury is, man. He's Maurice Petty, man. He's not important,
Shake
man.
and
He's not a
bake.
real boxer. And Jake Paul just lost to a nobody, man.
listen, man. At least he fought a real boxer. Let's give the guy some credit. Let's take that all aside. The guy brought in more pay-per-views than most people could have done in like pro boxing. He brought a lot of eyes to boxing, and to be honest, man, he had a sold-out concert, a sold-out venue. He had like all the big stars there. He had Mike Tyson, man. He had Ronaldo, man. He had Ronaldo in the building. He was able to bring these type of people to come and
He
see his
looked
fight.
awful, man.
And listen,
Talk
man,
about his
I'm gonna
fight. He
tell you-
looked awful.
Listen. The fight prior to that Badu Jack's fight, man, was against Maccabee was amazing. It was a great fight. I wish Matt
not what I'm talking
Kazavat,
about.
would have been on to talk about it. But listen, leading up to the Jake Paul fight, it wasn't that great. But the
How did
Badu Jack
Anderson
fight
Silva
was
lose
awesome.
to him, man?
Yeah.
Listen,
Well,
man, I'm gonna listen.
he's
He
almost
still got a
50.
knockdown. Listen, he still got a knockdown on Tommy. Let's not forget that he got a knockdown. And if it is true that he wasn't 100% and he was injured and he had like issues or whatnot, I can believe that, man. Traveling to like the Middle East, if you don't have enough time to climatization and all the rest of it that comes with it, you are screwed. I'm telling you this, there's going to be a rematch. There's going to be a fight in Vegas. There's going to be another like big amount of pay-per-views, a big hype behind it. And I think if they have their match number 2, I think Jake could probably pull it off. Listen, man, it wasn't his best. It was his worst fight out of all fights that he had.
This
And his
guy
big
wanted
right
to
hand.
fight Canelo. You know what
that's
Canelo
a
would do to him.
Yeah, no, that's a different story, dude. I mean, let's be honest. But but regardless, man, he did it. He fought his first pro boxer. He lost, but he still went the
And he
distance.
lost.
He still got a knockdown. And you know what? He's gonna fight again, and I'm gonna watch it.
Well, you can watch it. I may not because I think it's kind of over here.
Nah, it's not
For
over. It's just the beginning,
Jake
man.
Paul.
The roller coaster ride is just starting.
Well, I'll tell you what, AJ, we can crack open
You wanna
some
hear my
Prime, some of the Paul
Oh, yeah.
Paul drink on Saturday night while we watch some real fighting in the
You want to
UFC.
hear my prediction with Jake Paul? Want to hear my prediction? Listen, since I was one of the first guys to call him that he would change the face of sports, this is my prediction. He's going to have another fight against Tommy Fury. Win or lose, you're going to hear a big hype of him again next year or within the next 2 years that he's going to enter the octagon. He's going to come into the UFC just like, some of the guys we've seen in the past. He's going to be that hype. He's going to walk in there, and I'm telling you, he's preparing to do an MMA fight. And it's not going to be in some Bush League event. He's going to do it in some like UFC card. I'm telling
Make
you,
him
that's
fight
his next move.
Phil Brooks.
AJ, he signed to PFL to have an MMA fight.
Yeah, but I don't think that's going to pan out between me and you.
What?
I think
If he's
yeah,
going to
I don't
have
know
a
if-
fight, don't you think it would be in PFL? You're like,
No,
he's going to
he's
have a
under
fight
contract.
in a big organization. But it's got to be the UFC, so he's not going to
It
fight in
is.
PFL? He's got a contract.
I don't know, man. I don't see. I'm telling you, before I see anything, he's going to be in the UFC before he goes to PFL or any other
I
league.
bet you he fights in PFL first.
Make him fight
Nah.
Phil Brooks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
fight.
that's a good one. That's a good
No.
one.
No, Phil's
CM
too
Punk,
old.
man.
He's too old. Not good.
Well,
Unnecessary.
Anderson Silva fought, and he was pretty old.
Anderson Silva was a good fighter. AJ really wants easy opponents for his boy Jake Paul after that embarrassment on Sunday in Saudi Arabia.
Listen, man,
What an
Tyron Woodley wasn't an easy
embarrassment.
opponent. He knocked him
Lost
out.
to Tommy Fury.
Not really. I don't think it. Listen, like putting
Sad.
jokes aside, if I look
Sad.
at it from like a fighting perspective, I thought it was pretty exciting, man. Like you just didn't know what was gonna happen, and Tommy fought well,
Jokes
man.
aside,
Jake, it was
jokes aside, he didn't look confident at all in that fight. Like Jake Paul looked okay looked good against Anderson Silva, looked great against Tyron Woodley, looked great against Ben Askren's, but against Tommy Fury, he didn't look in place, man.
yeah, you're
right away he had some issues. So, anyways, I'm most disappointed for Nate Diaz because I was expecting Nate Diaz to get a big payday and beat a guy to put an end to this, but I don't know if that's happening now, man. The rematch probably happening before Nate.
Yep, they're going to do that
for
rematch
Nate.
for sure. Nate Diaz lost out on a big payday, and I think a lot of people lost out on a big payday because now the luster of Jake Paul is gone. He's not undefeated. He's coming off a split decision loss in a fight where he looked pretty flat. It was not a great performance. It was not a great fight, and I think that his stock dropped significantly after that fight with Tommy Fury, and AJ doesn't want to admit it. But you lose a fight like that, I think you lose a lot of value in your marketability. I don't think he's as marketable now, and I don't think he's worth the money as much as he was before this fight.
Listen, man, everybody loses from Brock Lesnar to George St. Pierre.
Yeah, but
to
he was
Jon
supposed
Jones
to smash
Saturday.
this guy.
It's going to happen,
He was supposed
dude.
to smash this guy because he's a nobody, and he lost in a split decision. It was pathetic.
I didn't believe
it was
that.
not good.
I never said he was going to smash himself. When you're fighting, listen, it's a different game when you're
supposed to
fighting
do
a
at this
guy
stage
who's
if he wants to be a star.
But listen, you're fighting a YouTuber, you're fighting MMA guys that don't have the best boxing skills. But this is a fight against a guy who's a boxer, and you could see like the boxing style, from Tommy Fury, man. He was just
So you can see that Jake Paul is not a boxer.
Well, you can see that Jake Paul is a boxer, but
there's
he
levels.
didn't perform. There's
really
levels.
far from the top.
No, he's at a level that he can get a lot better. But the thing is that you're right. He didn't look confident, and if he's saying the truth that he wasn't well getting into this fight, I believe it because he didn't have that sting like he did. Like he was being a little bit too cautious, and at times he was throwing that right, but he was like hesitating. I don't know what it was, if it's an injury or if it's like some stomach bug or whatever he had. It wasn't Jake Paul's best fight out of all the fights.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you this.
And why is his
from
brother,
AJ.
But he still knocked him down.
on the mic calling out like his brother's an idiot, man. I hope Seth Rollins beats him.
He might.
Seth Rollins.
WrestleMania. Logan Paul will wrestle Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. I'm watching the UFC 285. There's a press conference going on right now. Jon Jones.
Yeah, somebody asked Jon Jones about his wife beating or something. You sure
Really?
that's live?
What? Oh, man.
Well, I think somebody asked him about being a Christian and talking about God and then having his personal issues.
Oh my God.
That was more the line of questioning.
Wow.
Sure,
and
Jones
Jon
didn't
Jones,
like
I
that,
think,
man.
just I read it somewhere on a feed, and Jon Jones just didn't answer from what I understood.
Wow.
What can you answer on that, man? It's
I mean,
it's not the time to talk about like personal stuff when you're leading up to like the biggest fight probably of your career. I mean, sometimes these journalists, they're boneheads, and I'll be honest. And we've seen quite a few of them. Like, you know what? You can
this
answer
is the
questions.
time you should hate on Jon Jones, man.
No, but I'm not going to hate on Jon Jones.
For being a not a great human being. Great fighter, but very
No, he's not the best. But look, he's probably not the best in like that department. You're absolutely right. But there's also like, why like rattle the cage? You know what I mean? Talk about the fight. Don't talk about the personal stuff. He didn't do anything for the last year. Jon Jones has been like,
well, Jon
pretty
Jones is
good.
the one always preaching like
More or
God
less.
is there for me. God's doing this for me. I'm gonna be the first. And at the same time, man, where is God and where are you when you have your personal issues out of the cage?
Yeah, I think it's a fair question. Jon Jones is going into a big fight. He's been through a lot in the past 3 years. It seems like he's lost his wife and kids. Like, if you watch, the thing is with Jon Jones is his wife and his kids have always been with him, and he's been in the public eye with them, right? They've been on the Embedded. They've been on the Countdown shows with their father, right? So now when you're watching the Embedded and you're watching the Countdown and you see Jon Jones just with a bunch of dudes, you're like, well, where's your family? How is your family? And how is that affecting you going into the fight? I think it's a fair question when you're going into a fight, when we haven't seen you in 3 years, and a lot of stuff has happened in your personal life, and it's all been in the public eye, and the president of the UFC has even talked about it. So I think it's fair at this point. It's a press conference. You're asking the guy questions. You want to know his mental state leading into a title fight. From a gambling perspective, I want to know. How's he doing? How's he living? Is he partying? Does he have a new girlfriend? What's his deal? I want to know what's happening in the life of Jon Jones because it affects what he's going to be going into the cage. And we have a lot of questions about what he's going to be going into the cage because we haven't seen him in 3 years, and he's bulked up, and he's fighting at heavyweight when he was the greatest light heavyweight in the history of the sport and maybe the greatest fighter ever. But he's now, 35 years old. He's been fighting for a long time. There's a lot of wear and tear on that body, and there's also a lot of inactivity. 3 years is a long time to not fight in the UFC. There's a lot of questions. So I think everything is at play right now with Jon Jones. There's a lot of questions. What's going on with him? How is he? What is he right now? I'm not sure.
I'll tell you what, physically
Look, that's
also,
a
man,
tough
I'm
one.
looking at the pictures, man. I don't know, man. I was expecting somebody more intimate, more muscle. Like he looks bigger and all, man, but I'm not that impressed by his physique. So we'll see, man. Cyril Gane, if anything, has an advantage physically over Jon Jones. Will he be able to use it? I'm not sure. I still believe that Jon Jones is the better wrestler. He'll have the better takedowns. He'll have, if anything, top position in the grappling department. So I still give that edge to Jon Jones. But I don't know. Physically, I was expecting a little bit more from him, and because he's been bulking up for 3 years now. I don't know. I don't see that guy being so same guy.
Jon Jones will have
I'm going to tell you
a reach advantage on Cyril Gane, which is a little bit surprising. Cyril's 6'5", Jon is 6'4", but Jon has an 84.5-inch reach. Cyril Gane, 81-inch reach. So 81. Jon Jones...
Yeah, it's not much.
I think Jon Jones is the best fighter we've ever seen at using distance, at using his reach, at using that range. And he's going to have that advantage again over Cyril Gane, which, is going to play a factor. Jon is just so good at using that distance. He's gonna use it against Cyril Gane, and it's gonna be up to Cyril to close that gap.
Listen, this is my take on this. I mean, we haven't seen Jon Jones fighting in 3 years. We haven't seen Jon Jones really bulk up to the point where, like Freddie said, that he would be like impressive and intimidating. He doesn't have that, but he has gained weight. He does look the heavyweight, that actually had some success. There hasn't been too many guys, man. And the thing with Jon Jones, there's no doubt about it. The guy is one of the best when it comes to like the clinch with grips. The guy, when he has control of your wrist, man, he's able to do phenomenal things. Jon Jones is, I would agree with you, one of the greatest MMA fighters that come on the scene. The thing with Jones is we're looking at Jones like from the past. And I was looking at a lot of his stuff. When Jones was the greatest, at his greatest, was like a decade ago, man. And you want to talk about fights with Dominic Reyes and Santos, man, they were close, man. They were so close that some people, including AJ, gave it to Dominic Reyes. It was so close that a guy like Santos with 2 broken legs was able to still like fight Jones and give him a hard time. to a decision. And I'm going to tell you something. If you look at what these guys did in some of the past fights where you've seen fights against Jon Jones, there's one thing that Jon Jones' Achilles is exactly what I just said. You can move up to heavyweight, put on the bulk, but his legs, his ankles is the key to break him down. So the thing with Cyril Gane, as a very strong Muay Thai fighter who can work the clinch, who has good wrist control himself, that can throw elbows from any angle, he's kind of like a Jon Jones, but bigger. But once he gets to Jon Jones's legs, in my opinion, if I was with Cyril Gane, I say, listen, you know that Jones is going to try to wrestle you down. But if you're able to keep that distance and work his legs, keep chopping below his knees, you will end Jones. Because Jones's biggest difficulty was defending like those kicks, especially, man, like on you know, going towards the ankle, going towards the knee. You can always see Jones grimacing. And every fight that Jones comes out, his legs are damaged, man. Even when he's throwing his kicks, man, you know, he has a problem with the counters, man. And I'm telling you, that's going to be his Achilles. That's coming up to heavyweight. We haven't seen him if he's going to be able to move as fast as he did in light heavyweight. But we know one thing. Cyril Gane, as a heavyweight, moves just like a light heavyweight and has all the skills to be able to handle Ngannou for 5 rounds. People can say whatever the hell they want. But that 5th round was the deciding round, and Cyril Gane brought him the distance. His mistake was to keep going to the ground with Ngannou. But if the stand-up game would have been in Cyril's court, he would be the champion right now, and he will be the champion on Saturday. I'm telling you, it's going to be the toughest fight of Jones, but we're always keep looking at Jones as the GOAT. But let's tell you this, every GOAT has his day. We've seen it over and over, and he's going to be put out to pasture. That's what's going to happen. And, you know, I tip my hat to Jon Jones. What he accomplished was incredible. Even though I get on his back a lot of times, the guy as a mixed martial artist is phenomenal. Phenomenal. He's done amazing things. But coming into heavyweight, man, I'm telling you, I looked at his legs again, and I'm like, damn, Cyril Gane is going to break those legs so bad on Saturday that Jon Jones doesn't know what he's getting into. He should have fought anybody else but Cyril Gane.
I don't think I have to ask you who you're picking.
Listen, man, you know, it's not that I want to go against Jon Jones, but it's going to be a tough fight. Listen, you're going up against Cyril Gane because I've seen this guy live, man. I've seen what he's done, and I'm like, holy shit. Look, if Jones doesn't have that step, that quick step like he did in light heavyweight leading up to his first fight in 3 years, man, he hasn't even been active. Cyril Gane's been active. We seen him, man, win or lose, man. He went up against Ngannou for 5 rounds. Is Jones going to be able to go the distance with Cyril Gane? Is he going to be able to go to the 3rd, 4th round? I don't think so. Because if it goes into the clinch game, he's going to get knocked out.
We've listened to AJ for long enough, all right? Let me provide a counterpoint. Because Patrick C. Hamilton just dropped a super chat, the 777. He says, what's going on? I'm agreeing with AJ again. Patrick, allow me to present the counterpoint, which is Jon Jones is the greatest UFC fighter of all time. He has been 5 rounds with some of the greatest UFC fighters of all time, and he has defeated them. He's always found a way. Jon Jones is a natural-born winner, and there's something in MMA that champions figure out, and especially these guys that run the division for a very long time. It's how to win close fights, how to squeak out victories by narrow margins when you need to. And I think that's what Jon Jones is going to be able to do. He's going to be able to put Cyril Gane in bad positions where he wins the necessary rounds to beat Cyril Gane. I believe that Jon Jones will win a decision over Cyril Gane, and he will do that with foot sweeps, with distance, and with top control. I think that Jon Jones is going to be able to not only push Cyril Gane up against the fence, but control him in that clinch game. I think Jon Jones has better hand-fighting skills than Cyril Gane. I think Jon Jones is much better in the clinch and is probably one of the better fighters in the clinch we've ever seen. Jon Jones up close in the clinch lands those sharp elbows. He has tremendous creativity in those positions. He's going to get Cyril up against the fence, and he's going to mix up the strikes and the dirty boxing with the takedowns, with the single leg, with the scoop double leg. He's going to put Cyril on his butt, and he's going to work, and he's going to work, and he's going to work through the rounds. He's going to win the rounds, and he's going to win enough rounds to win the fight, because that's what Jon Jones does. He finds himself in very difficult situations, and he comes through because he is a superior wrestler to Cyril Gane. Go look at the Olympics. How many Frenchmen are in the Olympics for wrestling? How many even make it?
Ooh.
Right? I'm just trying to explain to you that the United States is a superior country for grappling and especially wrestling than France, which is a fact that even AJ can't deny. And Cyril Gane has continued to make his camp in France. And I don't know if you've seen the guys that Cyril's hanging out with. They look like they weigh about 170 pounds. If these are the guys that are pushing Cyril around and trying to wrestle him and put him in bad positions, he is in for a rude awakening on Saturday night. I think that Francis Ngannou opened up the doors for Jon Jones. He showed Jon Jones, hey, take him down. Just take him down. Trip him, take him down, get him on his butt. You don't want to stand with him. Nobody wants to stand with him. Take him down. Cyril Gane is a very dangerous fighter. He moves, you said like a light heavyweight. I'd say even like a middleweight. The guy is so light on his feet. He's tremendous. He may run away from Jones. He may tag Jones a little bit, but he's going to have to fight Jon Jones, and sooner or not, at some point in the fight, everybody winds up fighting Jon Jones' fight. Everybody winds up playing that game, getting into that rhythm, because he baits you in, he reels you in, and then he eats you for breakfast. And that's what he's going to do to Cyril Gane. He's going to do what he's done to everybody else. Use distance.
I'm coming in.
He's going to use every tool in his arsenal, and he studied Cyril Gane. While Cyril was playing FIFA on PlayStation, Jon Jones was studying Cyril Gane and training in the gym. I got Jon Jones by decision and new UFC heavyweight champion, greatest fighter of all time. Freddie?
I think in the end what you're saying, Dave, basically, or that's what I'm going to say is, Jon Jones has a better fight IQ than Cyril. He has more experience in big fights, period. He has more experience. He's been training with better fighters. I'm sorry. Jon Jones is just at another level, man. His fight IQ is much higher than Cyril, and Cyril struggled with Francis' wrestling.
What?
Jon Jones is gonna take advantage of that. Like, Jon Jones is gonna look at that tape and say, here's how I'm gonna attack him. So I got Jon Jones winning, and I think probably by decision, because I don't think he'll have the power to finish Cyril. Maybe he could tap him. I wouldn't be surprised about that. But I'm going to go with Jon Jones by decision, winning most of the rounds. Probably 5-0, 4-1, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, let me come in. Let me say something.
Hold on, AJ. I'm going to go even further and say that Cyril Gane had that fight in his grips with Francis Ngannou. He had. I'll give it to you. And I know, AJ, you're like, oh, he could have done this, he could have done that, but he didn't. He didn't. That was his fight to win, and he lost, because when push came to shove in the crucial moments of that fight, he didn't fight at his best. And Jon Jones has shown time and time again that at the crucial moments of championship fights and high pressure situations, he shows up. And Cyril Gane, as great as he is, did not show up when he needed to against Francis Ngannou.
Ridiculous.
What do you mean? He was taken down. If he can defend the takedown, he's the heavyweight champion. But he couldn't defend the takedown because he couldn't show up in that situation because he was ill-prepared, and he will be ill-prepared again on Saturday.
Coach, let me in. Let me just get back to you guys. I'm going to give you this. Jon Jones, for sure, in the last little while, he's been training with a Greco-Roman coach. He's been working with Henry Cejudo. He's really getting his game, because I'm sure he's going to want to grapple. But I'm going to tell you something. Let's be honest. How great was Jon Jones in his last 3 fights? How great was he? Was he so great that he would have been able to go 5 rounds with Ngannou? I don't think so. And if this was Ngannou fighting, we'd probably be saying, I don't think Jones might have the greatest chance. And let's not forget, Cyril Gane brought it to the 5th round. It was decided by the 5th round, 1 round. And his biggest mistake was to go to the ground. Listen, everybody makes a mistake. You're right about the experience by Jon Jones. He has decades of experience. But this is Jon Jones in 2023, not Jon Jones in 2013. This is a different game. And the thing is that if the camp listens to me, yeah, you go down to the ground with Cyril Gane, he could submit you. His grappling is pretty good. He's a very well-rounded fighter. And his clinch game and his wrist control is very similar to Jon Jones through and through. The difference is, again, Cyril Gane, very active fighter. Cyril Gane, a very good Muay Thai fighter. Cyril Gane, very good in the clinch to throw those knees. You can ask, many of the fights that he's had, he looks very similar to Jon Jones. The only difference here is inactivity. Going up to heavyweight, his legs are the key to beating Jon Jones. If Cyril Gane plays his game, he plays that Muay Thai game and takes away his legs, his lead leg to Jon Jones, it's going to be a quick and early fight, and there's going to be a stoppage. And I can assure you this, Cyril Gane will do much better against Ngannou if Ngannou ever decides to come back to the UFC. That's the difference. He's getting that experience, and he's a true champion, man. He's a natural heavyweight that moves like a middleweight, like you said.
AJ. When Jon Jones fought Alexander Gustafsson, who'd you pick?
I took Gustafsson because of the first fight
that he lost. Gustafsson,
but it was a great fight. That was Jon Jones
it was a great fight
that
Gustafsson lost by unanimous decision, and then you pick Gustafsson in the rematch, and he got finished.
Well, you know what? That first fight, man, it was went back and forth. It was crazy. Also.
There's just so many fights that AJ has picked Jon Jones to lose. Every single time he fights, AJ picks against him. It's been going on for years. I'm starting to feel bad for you, AJ, because you just lose consistently.
Not this time, dude. I'll be honest.
You say, like, Cyril was 1 round away, and technically you're right. He was 1 round away from winning, but one judge gave it 49-46, and my memory of that fight is that, Francis was pretty much in control all along. So, yeah, maybe Cyril edged out 2 rounds, but overall, when you look at that fight, that was Francis Ngannou's fight, man. Francis Ngannou's the guy that showed up and was the better fighter that night, and it wasn't a question of 1 round.
Look, you can say what you want, and I'm going to get back to what I said earlier. How great was Jon Jones against Santos? Was that the Jon Jones that we know as the GOAT?
Good enough.
He edged out. Edged out with a guy with 2 broken kneecaps. Then he fought Dominic Reyes, who gave him exactly what I keep saying. Like, you keep seeing him, like, taking that leg away, and you can see Jon Jones, man, not able to recover, man. I'm telling you, man, on the counters, he gets clocked. And if Cyril Gane can get him with those counters, get those low leg kicks, it's going to be a rough night for Jon Jones. And again, we're moving into heavyweight. We haven't seen Jon Jones fight at heavyweight. We've seen him fight in light heavyweight. We know he's the greatest in that division. But to go up a step, is he going to have that quick edge that he usually has? We don't know. And I'm telling you, man, the difference is for heavyweights, when you don't have a strong calf, and you're going to be playing the game against natural heavyweights, it's going to be I'm telling you, man, it's going to be a rough night. And I'm telling you, I'm not changing my mind.
Do you think Cyril's going to be able to get some leg kicks in? Because, I mean,
100%.
If anything, I think Jon Jones is the one that's going to be using his movement and his
did you ever see, Cyril Gane's checks? Cyril Gane's checks on leg kicks are just as painful as getting a kick. That's the difference. I'm telling you, it's going to be a rough night. It's going to be a rough night. And if he gets into the clinch, the knees by Cyril Gane are going to be much more devastating than Jon Jones. The elbows by Cyril Gane are going to be much more devastating than Jon Jones.
At least, man. If you're that passionate about it, man, put your
money
where your mouth is.
I agree with you.
He never puts his money where his mouth is. He just talks a lot of trash.
Listen, man, I make money for others, man. I'm okay with that.
You lose money all the time for everybody.
No, ask Patrick, man. He won with me, and he's going to win on Saturday night. There's going to be – listen, Jon Jones is biting more than he can chew. And I'm telling you, Saturday night, it's going to be a rough night. We've seen a lot of the GOATs and the legends coming to the end of their career, this could be the end of the career for Jon Jones. I think it's going to be a rough night, and I'm being serious about it. No joking aside, or joking aside.
I cannot wait to see
It's gonna be
AJ's
rough.
tears when Jon Jones beats Cyril Gane. It's going to be great. No matter what, though, if it's
You're
a decision,
underestimating Cyril Gane,
AJ's
man.
going to debate the result. You know him. He's not.
Listen,
He's not on the
I won't
level.
have to debate it because I don't think it's going to go to distance. I think it's going to be a stoppage. This fight is going to come down where everybody's going to be like, what the fuck?
No
Jon
matter
Jones
what
is
he's
the
going to
favorite
say,
coming
you got to
into this.
give it to Cyril.
You think
gotta
it's going to
give it
be
to
a
Cyril, man.
stoppage, which is really interesting, AJ, because I've watched every Jon Jones fight in the UFC. Some of them I've watched multiple times. A lot of them I was in attendance for. And, he's had tough fights, but I don't ever recall Jon Jones being hurt. I don't ever recall Jon Jones getting dropped by anything ever.
I
I don't ever recall
You're
Jon Jones getting his back taken on the ground. I don't think we've ever seen Jon Jones in
Vitor.
a near fight-ending
With,
position in his entire career.
Well, Vito Belfort had
almost
his
had
arm
the
locked.
armbar.
He did. He should have broke his arm. He just felt bad and let
Almost
go.
had the armbar, but that was from the guard, and Jon Jones popped his arm out, and he hurt himself, but he still fought the rest of that fight, beat the hell out of Vitor, and tapped him with an Americana.
Yeah, you're right about that, dude. You're right. That was when Jon Jones was at his greatest. But if I have to look at his last two fights,
he might
he's
tap
not tapping
Cyril.
nobody. The only
I
thing
think
he's tapping
Cyril,
is the
it might be
strippers that
tough
he's
to
gonna meet
tap
at
him.
night.
Cyril's going to play defensive, and Jones will just win the decision.
Listen, guys, take a look at his last two fights. Be honest with yourselves.
He wasn't
Santos,
motivated.
Dominic Reyes.
Those fights, it's not a motivated Jon Jones.
Well, he
when he's
better be
fighting
motivated on
jabronis like
Saturday.
Anthony Smith or Thiago Santos or Dominic Reyes, they have no name value.
was
They have
close.
no hype. He wasn't motivated, and that's why he left the division. He vacated his title because he's like, it's not worth fighting these guys anymore. I'm going to go away for a while and find a fight that's worthwhile for me. When he's motivated, like the second Gustafsson fight or the Daniel Cormier fights, you see what he does. He obliterates people. When Jon Jones
He's so smart, he'll find a way.
Exactly. And if he can't finish him, he'll find a way to win enough rounds to win. That's what he does. He's been doing it his whole career, and he's never even been in trouble.
Greatest of all
Listen,
time.
guys, I'm going to just
In
say
the cage.
Saturday is
He's never
listen,
been in
Saturday is
trouble
going to
in the
reveal the
cage.
truth,
Oh, yeah.
man. Listen, Saturday is going to reveal the truth. And you know what? I could be completely wrong. You guys could be completely wrong.
will.
But if I have
You
to
will
look, I'm going to tell you this.
Can't wait.
On Saturday, too many people are underestimating Cyril Gane, who is exactly what Jon Jones would have looked like as a heavyweight if he was fighting 10 years ago. Cyril Gane will destroy Jon Jones on Saturday. And you know what, guys?
No.
I don't want to celebrate it because I want to see Jon Jones. Like, he could have retired and be like the greatest of all time. But I think he's staying in too long. And he's biting more than he can chew because he's going into a division.
Yeah.
Dude, he's 35, but look at him. Does he look like a 35-year-old? Let's be honest. The wear and tear on his body is like he's taken so much, and the amount of pressure and stress to go up to heavyweight. You know, he's got to pack on pounds. Cyril Gane doesn't have to really be that. It's not going to be a difficult weight cut. It's going to be he's training like he's going there to win. He doesn't
have a difficult
have to
weight cut for anybody. What are you saying?
No, Cyril Gane. Okay, is always in his natural weight class. You've got Jon Jones that had to move up. There's a lot of stress on your body when you try to put on muscle, dude. There's a lot of stress on everything, man, on your timing.
He took 3 years to do it.
Dude, his legs are the size of my kid's legs.
You're trying to come up with every reason to justify in your mind why your boy's going to beat the guy you hate. And when the picograms are falling and the champagne is flowing on Saturday night, we're going to be sipping it with AJ tears. Fantastic.
Dude, man, I'm just going to tell you this. I hope Patrick listens to me. Put your money there, dude, because I'm telling you, Jon Jones is going to be put out to pasture. And it's a sad day because he should have just retired, man. He should have just retired. He doesn't need the money. He's going to go for the glory to be the heavyweight champion, two division champion, but he's been gone for 3 years, guys. Not a great fight against Santos.
Oh my
Very
God.
close.
How funny would it be,
Super close
Fred?
with Dominic Reyes.
How funny would it be? Head kick, knockout. Jon Jones just
Not happening.
sleeps Cyril. You know?
He's gonna break his leg. He's gonna break his leg on Cyril Gane's chin. That's what's gonna happen. I'm telling you, this is a different game here. This is going up to the big boys who have the skills, who have the timing, everything to walk into a fight. Dude, you haven't fought in 3 years. Yeah, he's been in camp. He's been getting like punished, this and that. But man, he's got a lot of pressure on him too. Jon Jones has a lot of pressure. It's going to be tough, dude. That's all I'm saying.
You're trying to convince yourself.
Yeah, he's really trying to
I'm
convince
not.
himself. Okay.
I'm not convincing myself. I just know I just look at Santos' fight and I look at Dominic Reyes. That's not the GOAT that we know. That was the GOAT 10 years ago. Saturday night is 2023 going up against Cyril Gane, who's the deserving champion, man, for heavyweight.
He's very good, and I will admit that the last few Jones fights weren't his best performances, but he still won. He won convincingly, and the people like
Not
you,
convincingly.
the people like you who don't think he won
Not convincingly.
convincingly are mostly Jon Jones haters. So I don't really care about that opinion.
Listen,
AJ.
Cormier agreed with me, man. I like Cormier.
Exactly. Oh my! What the? What? I'm like,
I
yeah,
was
the
just-
people that
I-
think Jones lost are Jon Jones haters, and he's like, yeah, Daniel Cormier said he lost. Like, yeah, you're proving my point for me, AJ.
Dude, I was just opening that up. I wanted to see your reaction. But regardless, man, whatever Daniel Cormier says, man, I listen because that guy knows what he's talking about.
Right. He's not biased
Just
at all
saying.
against Jon Jones, his most hated rival, who he could never beat. Cormier will be on commentary for the fights
Really?
too, which should be
Oh,
interesting.
it's going to be good, man.
Yeah.
Listen, we're going
Um,
to have a good night on Saturday night, man. It's going to be wild,
But if Jones wins, it'll be Joe Rogan doing the in-cage interview, not Daniel Cormier. That would be too awkward. I think.
It'd be a bit weird. Yeah, especially, you never know what can happen, man. It could be
Jon
a Brock
Jones just beats
Lesnar
out
and-
Cormier too. He's like, fuck it.
They need security for the interview.
They would. They would. Jon Jones all hyped up after a fight. Like, you might hit DC. You never know.
I think they're over that, man. DC's retired, man.
You
They're
never know,
probably
man.
able-
I think
they're
Jon Jones
probably
is
able to
over it.
sit.
I think
They're
Jon
probably
Jones is
able
over
to
it. I don't
sit.
think DC can ever get over it. You know?
Yeah, I kind of can see that, man. I'd be the same way like Cormier, man. It'd be hard to swallow that.
Yeah. Okay,
But
Valentina
it's gonna be
Shevchenko.
interesting.
Valentina Shevchenko is the co-main
Oh.
event of this card. She's defending her flyweight title against Alexa Grasso.
Grasso.
Te faccia culo così. So,
Grasso.
so,
Nobody got that.
well, that's all right. Grasso has won 4 fights in a row, including a decision win over Viviane Araújo in her last one, a 5-round decision victory. She fights out of Guadalajara, Mexico, and she's got quite a team around her. They've got a lot of good fighters on that team, and Grasso, just 29 years old, she's coming on strong. She had a couple losses in her career. Her last loss was a majority decision to Carla Esparza back in 2019. But 2019 was like, 4 years ago? So she was like 25 and like not really near her prime. She's entering her prime right now, is Alexa Grasso. She's a very tough fighter. She's a very good fighter. She's fighting one of the greatest women's fighters of all time in Valentina Shevchenko, 34 years old, out of Kyrgyzstan, did a chunk of her camp there and then moved to Tokyo, Japan to finish her fight camp, and now in the United States getting ready for the fight in Vegas on Saturday. Valentina Shevchenko undefeated now in 9 straight fights, including 7 straight defenses of the UFC Women's Flyweight Championship. She is she's pretty good, right? She's pretty damn good. Valentina Shevchenko, great on the feet, great on the ground. What more can you say? She is one of the greatest mixed martial artists in the game today. In all aspects of the game, she is top-notch, high-level, black belt status. You know, she's just great at everything. But
Look,
her
I
last
agree with you,
fight,
Dave.
she didn't look great. Like, her last fight, Valentina has looked unbeatable, almost not human in most of her fights, just so far above her opponents. But her last fight with Taila Santos, she won by split decision, but it was pretty damn close. It was pretty close, and some people thought Santos won, including one of the judges, and Valentina looked like a normal person. And I'm starting to wonder, like, is this new generation coming on to Valentina and getting closer? Because we have, Valentina started her run winning the title from Joanna Jędrzejczyk, who's now retired. Then she beat Jessica Ai, who's, I don't think, in the UFC anymore. Then she beat Liz Carmouche, who's not in the UFC anymore. Then she beat Caitlin Chookagian, who's not, at the top of the division anymore. Then Jennifer Maia. Then Jessica Andrade, who we just saw get finished in the second round not long ago, right there by Blanchfield. Then Lauren Murphy, who was just kind of there to get the title shot. And then Taila Santos in her last fight. And Taila was kind of part of that new generation, just coming into her prime. Not like all the other fights prior with Valentina, who were kind of Valentina's peers, of her age category and her kind of group of fighters. Oh, I'm watching a Jon Jones, Cyril Gane face-off right now.
What's happening?
Cyril looks a little thicker than Jon Jones, but
Definitely.
That makes sense.
But, intense stare down. Cyril looks thicker, but Jones looks wide. Oh, boy. Oh, baby. I'm so hyped for this fight. I just wonder about Valentina. I wonder. She's been running for a long time, but she looked human in her last fight, and I'm starting to wonder, is somebody going to catch her? When you're champion for this long, when you've been fighting in the UFC for this long, at some point you get caught. That's just how the game goes. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go that way for Valentina here, right? Odds makers have Valentina
I don't think
Shevchenko.
it's Alexa Grasso, though.
Right.
And I'll say one thing, man. Like I was saying before the show, she's allowed to have one bad fight. Like, she's been so dominant in all her other fights. I'll admit her last fight wasn't really impressive, but she still won. We were saying Jon Jones, in the end, he defeated Dominic Reyes and all that. So Valentina, she won her last fight, and I'm expecting a better fight out of her tomorrow, Saturday against Alexa Grasso. And Alexa Grasso, 5 wins in a row, but I don't think she's the girl to beat Valentina. Valentina is one of the greatest.
And I agree with you, Freddie. I'll be honest. Valentina, this is not going to be her fight to lose, but there's too many sharks, man, that are coming after her. And I think she will probably, lose at some point. It could be this year, which could happen. By the end of the year, I could see her fighting again if she wins on Saturday, which I'm pretty sure she will. But there's too many dangerous sharks, man. You got Erin Blanchfield there. You got Manon Fiorot. You know what? Her throne is coming to an end. And I agree with Dave. Her time is coming. I don't think it's going to be on Saturday with Grasso. Regardless, Grasso, great boxing, man. Really good fighter. But it's not Valentina. But when I start mentioning Erin Blanchfield, what we saw, we start looking at Manon Fiorot. Holy smokes, man. Even Santos, man, there's too many dangerous fighters in that division just circling her, and they will get her. I think this year she will lose, but she's not going to lose on Saturday.
I'll tell you what, though, $5 on Alexa Grasso gets you 30, so it's not a bad deal here.
No, it's good.
But plus 500. I'm just saying, I think I might put a couple bucks on Alexa Grasso. I'm not putting Valentina in my parlay because I'm not confident in Valentina after that last fight.
It was just a bad fight, like Freddie said.
We'll see. I'm going with Grasso. Not going to go on my parlay, but I think she might pull off the upset here. Changing of the guard, I think, in the women's flyweight division. I think we saw the beginning of it with Blanchfield, and I think we'll see it continuing here with Valentina falling on Saturday. Okay, some other fights on this card. We've got Shavkat Rakhmonov. I think we are all unanimous in going with the shaved cat. The man is the man. He is the best. Shavkat Rakhmonov, future champion of the UFC welterweight division, I called it a while ago. I'm going to be like AJ now. I've been telling you for years about Shavkat Rakhmonov, and he's going to be the champion in the division, and everybody wants to talk about the Khamzats and the Leon Edwards and Kamaru Usman. Forget about those guys. It's all about Shavkat Rakhmonov from Kazakhstan. He's the Borat of the UFC, and he's very nice. 16-0 coming off a guillotine choke submission over Neil Magny. Smashed Neil Magny, made it look easy. Every fight he makes look so easy. He has not gone past the second round in the UFC. A guillotine choke submission of Alex Oliveira, a rear naked choke of Michel Praceres, a KO of Carlston Harris, and then a submission of Neil Magny. He takes on Jeff Neal, who's a very tough fighter, a very good fighter, but he's in over his head here with Shavkat Rakhmonov. Why? Because he's Shavkat Rakhmonov. It really isn't anything to do with Jeff Neal. It's not his fault. He's a good fighter. There's levels to the game, and Shavkat is on another level. My friend Jeremy Prophet and I were talking about this fight, and he said Shavkat is invincible. And I agree. He is invincible, unstoppable, will not be beat, 28 years old. It's over. Give him the belt now. Like, I don't know what we're waiting for. Give him a title shot. Why does Leon Edwards honestly, forget Leon Edwards and Kamaru Usman rematch. I know it's like later this month. I think it's in like 2 weeks, guys, by the way. UFC 286 is in 2 weeks.
2 pay-per-views,
Yeah.
This month.
Yeah, 2 weeks, March 18th, sorry. Coming up in 2 weeks. It's Leon Edwards and Usman
It's an afternoon card, though.
Oh, yeah, that'll be fun in England. The winner of that fight should fight Shavkat. Because Shavkat is winning this fight against Jeff Neal. He's my lock of the night. He's a guarantee. He's for sure winning. And I want to see Shavkat fight the winner. I know he's not, like, rankings-wise necessarily there, but who are we kidding? Like, what are we waiting for here, guys? Shavkat.
Dave,
it's Shavkat time.
Listen, Jeff Neal is probably going to be one of the toughest punchers that Shaved Cat has faced. You're going up against a number 7. But listen, he's going up against a ranked number 7, man. It's not going to be easy. And I'm telling you, if Jeff Neal can touch that chin, man, it could be a different call. I'm going with Shavkat for the win here, but it's not going to be as easy as most people think. Jeff Neal is no joke, man. Much better than Neil Magny. Probably the most powerful puncher that Shavkat's ever encountered yet. And let me tell you,
Jeff Neal was better than Neil Magny, Jeff Neal would have beat Neil Magny, AJ.
Well, look, you got a point there. Okay, you got a point
fought
there.
Neil Magny. He fought Neil.
I forgot about that.
Jeff Neal fought Neil Magny like a couple of years ago, and he lost to him by decision. 2021. That's his last loss.
But when it comes to punching power, man, Jeff Neal is
Shavkat Rakhmonov is the truth. He's the best fighter at 170 pounds in the world.
I don't know, man. I'm not willing to put it as far as prospect, man. I'll still have Khamzat over him.
Nope.
And
wrong again, Fred.
We'll see, man. From what they've done, from their track record, I'm not putting him over Khamzat right away. But I'd like him. I hope he wins, and I want him to face some of the top competition, man. Put him against a Khamzat. Put him against a Colby. Put him against a Bilal Muhammad or whatever. Gilbert Burns. Put him against some of these top guys.
I'll take Shavkat
he's going up against a ranked 7th. So, look, he beats him.
I got him winning.
He's going to go on the top 5.
He's going to win this weekend. This weekend is full, other than Jones and Gane are close odds, and I think Jones is going to win that. But all the other fights, man, I got all the favorites, man. Shavkat, Bo Nickel, and who else is fighting? Valentina, and I'm missing one.
Gamrot.
Gamrot. Yeah, Gamrot. Against Jalen Turner. That's going to be a tough fight, too, man.
I like Gamrot. I think he's going to win.
Gamrot reminds me, he kind of looks like your buddy Tom. I don't know why.
Maybe.
They're both good fighters.
It's going to be a tough fight, that one, man. It's not going to be as easy fight for Gamrot as you think, man. Jalen Turner, man, he's won his last 5
Yeah.
Like, he choked out, what's his name, Brad Riddle in like 45 seconds. You remember that? I mean, it's going to be a tougher fight than you think.
Yeah, that's not an easy fight for Gamrot. Jalen Turner is on a roll right now. He's won 5 straight, and he's young, 27 years old. Like, when you get on a roll at 27, it's good for you. Like, things are starting to click, and you're starting to figure out MMA. Like, he's getting better every time. Gamrot is a little bit older than him at 32. We may have seen the peak of what Gamrot is. I don't think we've seen the peak of Jalen Turner. But Gamrot is just so good technically. His movement is tremendous. His wrestling is fantastic. His scrambles. I mean, you can't beat this guy in a scramble. Turner's going to be in a little bit of trouble, I think, when it comes to the ground game. I think he's going to have some problems.
Man, he has strong grappling, Dave. Turner has, like, strong grappling. And I think if it goes to the ground, I think it's going to be the other way. I think Turner can tap out Gamrot. I think
Gamrot is a better wrestler. Gamrot's a black belt too. Turner's just a brown belt right now, but I mean that doesn't mean too much. But I think Gamrot is a better wrestler, and his in the scramble when he moves on the ground, like the energy and the motion is tremendous, and his movement standing up is very, very good. I've got Gamrot in that fight over Turner, but I could see it being a close one. Obviously, Shavkat over Neal, and Bo Nickel over Jamie Pickett. Bo Nickel is the biggest favorite on this card. Sitting right now is minus 1,700. Pickett plus 850. Nickel is a highly touted prospect, high-level wrestler, 3-0 MMA fighter. He was an NC2A Division I national champion? No, finalist. Three-time Division I national champion. Wow. It's pretty good. It's pretty damn good, right? He's a hell of a wrestler. And he's probably going to beat this guy, Jamie Pickett, because he's supposed to. That's what this fight is for. It's like, hey, everybody, look at Bo Nickel. He's this new guy. He's a star. 185-pounder and wrestles like a madman. I think Bo Nickel wins and probably gets a finish. I think he probably gets like a rear naked choke or something in the first round. That's how all of his fights have ended so far. All 3 fights ended within a minute. All by 2 by submission, 1 by knockout. I'm gonna say this one probably goes past the 1 minute mark, but not too far past that. I'm gonna go with Bo Nickel with a first round submission.
Yeah, I mean,
Bo Nickel by domination.
Yeah. This is a setup fight. When you're looking at this guy Pickett, man, he's got submitted 3 times in the last 2 years, man. He lasted like a total of 10 minutes. I mean, this is a setup for Nickel. Like, for sure they're gonna hype this guy. This is the next hype, the next Patty, and then you got Bo Nickel, pure red blood Trump supporter. He's got it all, man. And
is he?
I'm telling you, he is, man, 100%. And the thing is that NASCAR watcher, he loves the game. He's dangerous. But Bo Nickel, man, is going to be he's going to make mincemeat out of this poor guy.
Oh, Jamie Pickett is the Trump guy? He's like vocal about
Bo Nickel,
Trump?
man.
Oh, Bo Nickel is. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Born in the USA.
Why are you talking politics?
I don't know. AJ brought it up. It's weird. I don't know where that came from.
NASCAR and
Okay. Take it easy.
I bet he doesn't even listen to NASCAR. AJ just goes stereotype.
No. I guarantee you.
AJ's a racist. We all know.
What?
You see?
I'm Italian, man.
You'd probably be a Kyle Busch hater, man. Kyle Busch was hated for so many years because he was from Vegas. He's not from like North Carolina or something like that. He was like an outsider, and he didn't give a fuck, and he just dominated. And now they love him because he's on a small team and he's winning, and they're like, "Oh, this is a great story." But for years, man, everybody was hating on him.
All right.
You proved them wrong.
On the prelims, we got Trevin Jones taking on Cody Garbrandt. Jones plus 142, the underdog. Garbrandt minus 175, the favorite. Garbrandt hasn't quite been the same since losing that bantamweight championship, which seems like forever ago. He's only 31 years old, but he's lost a lot. Lost his last fight by knockout to Kai Kara France, a decision to Rob Font before that.
Hello?
Hello? What happened there, man?
Something fucked up.
Yeah, something went loco.
Careful what you say, AJ. We might still be on.
We are still
No
on.
censoring?
I don't know what happened.
Man, I'm like
Fred disappeared.
technical difficulties, man. Dave's getting pissed, man. I
Well-
can see it, man. I can see the heat coming out of his ears.
I'm just like in the middle of something, and all of a sudden my mic gets cut off, and Fred goes all wonky. I don't know what the hell's happening tonight.
It's the haters, man. They're coming after us. It's okay, man.
I don't think that's it. So we got Garbrandt, who's lost a bunch of fights in a row now. Trevin Jones, though, has lost a few fights, too. He's lost 3 in a row. When I first saw this fight, I was like, yo, how come Cody Garbrandt's a favorite? And then I looked at Trevin Giles' record. I was like, oh, yeah, I guess seems about right. Giles is kind of a journeyman. Like, Garbrandt needs to win this fight. He's supposed to win this fight. Sorry, I was calling him Trevin Jones. Who's Trevin Giles? I think that's another fight. I think he fights in the UFC, too. Jones, he's not so good. You know, he's lost a bunch of fights. 13-9 pro record. Cody Garbrandt is supposed to win this fight. He's favored to win this fight, but he loses a lot. I don't know. It's kind of tough.
It's a tough one.
I don't know if I'd bet on this fight just because I think Garbrandt should win on paper, but Garbrandt has seemed like he's done for years now, so I don't know. But this is a fight that it should be a bounce back fight for him, right? It's kind of a gimme.
Listen, man, he's 13-9, Trevin Jones. I mean, you're right. He's like a journeyman, and you got Cody at 12-5 in his career. You would expect Cody to come out and just let like all hell break out, like he did like in the buffet line way back. It's gonna be tough, man. You know, this is like one wrong move, man, and it's all done. Yeah, I would have put it on my parlay. I'd step aside on this one.
I'm always picking against Cody Garbrandt now, man. I'm sorry. He just doesn't look the same in recent years, and his chin is very suspect. Although his opponent really doesn't look like he's much of a danger. But I'm going to go with his opponent. He's not on my parlay either. My parlay is a 3-fight parlay, man. I got Jon Jones, Shavkat, and what was my last fight? I'll be right back.
Bo Nichols.
No, that's not a good. And Gamrot. Yeah, I got Jon Jones, Shavkat, and Gamrot on my parlay. That's my parlay.
All right, let's see it. Let's do the parlays right now. Let's get to it. Here's Fred's Bet99.com parlay. Use the promo code Ringside over at Bet99.com. Jon Jones, Shavkat Rakhmonov, and Mateusz Gamrot. It's a 3-fight parlay. $20 gets you 55-53 over at Bet99.com. Simple main card parlay from Fred: Gamrot, Rakhmonov, and Jones. Solid. It's a solid parlay. So that's Team Fred for this weekend. No parlay winners last weekend for the UFC. UFC lost their main event last weekend.
Man.
Nikita Krylov got sick before the card, and him and Ryan Spann never wound up fighting in the main event. Kind of weak. All right, let me give you a parlay that I think will be fun here. Let's see. Let's go with... It's a tricky card. It's a tricky card. There's a lot of traps. A lot of betting traps, I think. Oh, wow. This is a terrible payout. I was trying to give you something fun, but my payout is not great. You know what? Let's throw that on it to make it better. Okay, it's a 4-fight parlay. Here we go. Let's make it more interesting. My payout was going to be garbage, so I made it a little spicier for you. I was going to give you just a 3-fight parlay here, but look at the payout. I was going to give you Tabitha Ricci over Jessica Penne. That's a goddamn lock. Jessica Penne is retired. She's done. I don't know what the hell's going on. Ricci's for sure winning. Minus 313, you got to love that. You could put a ton on Tabitha Ricci. She's winning for sure. Bo Nickel, he's 100% guarantee, but minus 1,700, whatever. I just threw him on because he's another victory. Shavkat, of course, that was going to be my parlay, but it's kind of garbage. It was like $20 to win 30. It was not very good. So I'm throwing on a fight that I like on the prelims. Derek Brunson over Dricus du Plessis. I think Derek Brunson's superior wrestling will win him that fight. Brunson is still one of the top 185ers in the division. A lot of people are high on Dricus, but I think Derek Brunson is going to be able to pull the victory off for himself. So $20 will get you 94.40 with that Team Dave parlay. It's a 4-fight parlay. 20 gets you 94 with Brunson, Shavkat, Nickel, and Ricci. Going with some prelims, going with some main card fights. Didn't put Jon Jones on my parlay, but I think I'll probably throw a couple on Jones by decision. And I also liked to throw a couple of bucks on Grasso to win. And Grasso to win at plus 500. And then Jon Jones by decision at plus 171 is a decent bet too. So that's the Team Dave bets for UFC 285. AJ, what kind of crazy stuff do you have for us?
Man, I'm surprised with the Derek Brunson that you're going with that one. But
Really?
Listen, hey, yeah, I'm like, Dricus, man, he's one tough fighter, man. 18-2. If Derek Brunson doesn't walk in with his blonde hair, man, he's losing. That's all I'm saying. And let's not forget Marc-Andre Barrios on the card. So we have another Quebecer on that card. Powerball's fighting. I think he has a pretty good chance of beating Marquez. But the money's going to go down on this. I'm going to go straight across the main card. I'm going with Cyril Gane for the win. I think he's going to beat Jon Jones. I think there's going to be a lot of people disappointed on Saturday. And you know what? I think it's going to be Jon Jones's, consideration to retirement on Saturday. I think he's done enough for the sport, and I think it's too much of a big bite to take, and Saturday night is going to end it. Then I'm going to go with Valentina. I think Valentina could pull it off, but I think this is going to be her last win as champ. Once you got Aaron coming in and Manon, I think they're going to be the future champions by the end of this year. Then I'm going to go with the Shaved Cat. I don't think Shaved Cat is going to lose this fight. The only way he's going to lose is if he slips on a banana, but other than that, he's winning. Then this one here, man, you've got Gamrot and you got Jalen Turner. Oof, this is a tough one, man.
Yeah.
Like, on card, man, Gamrot looks like invincible, but people forget about Jalen Turner. And I think Jalen Turner, man, 13 wins, 5 losses. He's getting that experience. I'm going to go with Jalen Turner on this. I think he's going to be able to pull it off over Gamrot. And then I'm going to go with Bo Nickel for, it's pretty much a lock with Bo Nickel. I think this is a setup fight. They're going to make him look good, and he's going to deliver. So my real, the question mark is the Jalen Turner-Gamrot fight. I think Turner's going to be able to pull it off.
All right, there's Team AJ's picks. It's a 5-fight parlay for the main card. Cyril Gane plus 140, Valentina Shevchenko minus 750, Shavkat Rakhmonov minus 550, Jalen Turner plus 175, and Bo Nickel minus 1,700. $20 gets you 190.98. That's not a bad payout.
I like that.
Not bad.
That's not bad.
You need Turner to come off with the upset. Excuse me. Turner to come off with the upset, there, and Cyril Gane too. We'll see. Gane, Valentina, Shavkat, Turner, and Nickel. That's the Team AJ 5-fight parlay for UFC 285. All right, guys. This show has run way too long. We got a couple things to get to before we go. Let's do it quickly. AJ, quickly. Your man Luke Rockhold was signed to the Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, as was Eddie Alvarez, 2 former UFC champions, set to debut for the promotion in April. So those guys taking their semi-retirement over to the Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, which seems like an appropriate move for both guys at this stage in their career.
I think it's crazy on Luke Rockhold's part. I mean, Pretty Boy's going to get his face smashed up. That's going to be the end of his GQ career and Polo commercials. I think it's just, he should have just stepped away, man. You don't need to do bare knuckles. I'm sure they're going to pay him well, but he's going to come out of there damaged.
Paige Van Zandt's model career is not over.
No,
yeah,
it's
dude.
flourishing.
But you know what? It's actually doing very, very well.
Yeah,
But
AJ's
like,
a
how many more
subscriber.
fights has she had? Like, I don't know. It's an interesting transition, but I'm surprised. Like Luke is, not concentrating to have tried to get back into the UFC. But we'll see.
I don't care. I
on.
hope they make a shitload of money. Happy if
I hope
they're
so
happy.
too, man.
I don't care.
Darren Till has been released by the UFC, coming off 3 straight losses to
Future
Robert Whittaker,
welterweight
Derek
champion,
Brunson, and Dricus
according to
Duplessis.
AJ.
Say it again?
Future welterweight champion, according to AJ.
Yeah, right.
Darren
Yeah,
Till.
man, I had a lot of hype on him. Remember in the
Uh-huh.
beginning, he was hype. Like, he had listen, this guy is one of those fighters where you look back and say, man, he had everything, for the time to be the champion. He had all the tools. It's just that he didn't have the drive, man.
Except
There was something
wrestling and
wrong.
Didn't have the
cardio
wins.
and a chin.
Well, his cardio, man, anyways, it's a disappointment. It's too bad. I like, I just, his weight cuts were scary, man. It's probably, yeah. All to say is, man, I hope he has whatever luck in whatever career he chooses to do in
Tell
the
you
future.
what, the guy's
Too bad,
looked
man.
done
Darren
for
Till.
years. He's only 30
I had a
years
lot of
old. I
hype-
don't know
a lot
what's
of hope
happened
on
to
him.
his career. But he had that thing where he beat up a cab driver. He stole a cab while he was drunk. Like, the guy partied too much. He was partying. He wasn't focused on his training. And you saw the shape he came in his last fight against Dricus. He looked terrible. He looked just awful. He didn't look in fight shape whatsoever. He looked like the worst version of himself. He looked about 45 years old, and he's only 30. Like, it was a bad showing. And you know what? That fight was close. Like, it was fight of the night at UFC 282. Dricus took 3 rounds to finally get a submission on Darren Till. And this is the guy that you think is going to beat Derek Brunson? This guy barely beat Darren Till. And you think he's going to beat Derek Brunson? I don't know, AJ. I'm more and more
Man,
confident on that Derek Brunson underdog pick for 285.
Yeesh.
Dricus, I'm just looking at this. He barely beat Darren Till, and Darren Till is done.
Well, he's not like he's done, but he's like he had all the attributes to be a great fighter. And when he really fights, he fights well. It's just that he just didn't take his camps as serious as he should. I hope he has like a positive life going forward, man. But there was so much potential with this guy, man. And
Yeah,
you know
well,
what?
he could
Freddie's
go fight
right, man.
Luke
I
Rockhold
thought he
in bare
was.
knuckle boxing.
Well, that's what I think is going to happen.
Great. Or he could go to Power Slap. Although their business seems to be falling. Everybody hates it. It's a garbage promotion that Dana
weird,
White's
man.
involved in. And their finals were
Dana-
going to be on what?
Dana says it's failing because people hate him. Poor little Dana. He thinks his stupid sport is failing because people don't like Dana. Dana,
What a
you're an
crybaby.
idiot, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but how can you say that? Because it would be the same thing for the UFC, man. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
So
everybody
it's
loves
not
the
because of
UFC,
you,
Dana. What are you talking about?
Yeah, man. Everybody loves the UFC. Everybody loves everything pretty much associated with the UFC, from fight nights to Ultimate Fighter to everything. So it's not about you, Dana. It's just that people are like, they can watch maybe one quick highlight of like a slap between the men and women, but in the end, you're like, why? It's like,
It's awful.
I'm surprised nobody has died,
It's
man,
terrible.
because it's like ridiculous.
So they were gonna do a pay-per-view, and I was like, who's gonna buy this? Turns out they're not doing it anymore. It's gonna be a free stream on something called Rumble, which I think is like the
Oh, yeah, I know
the
Rumble.
streaming platform where you go when you get kicked off YouTube for being too horrible.
Not really. There's some good content on Rumble, man. And you know what? They can go on Rumble.
That's where
but the
AJ
truth
goes
is,
to find his white supremacist content over on Rumble. That's good.
Dave, that's terrible. You shouldn't be
Dave,
saying
that's
that
not
shit
fair,
to an
Dave.
Italian.
That's
That's,
not fair,
racist, man.
Why?
You're calling us Italians? What are you trying to say, man?
Wow.
But
Fred,
I'm gonna
why
tell
is
you
that not
something.
fair? AJ, I don't care about, but why is that not fair, Fred? Because of Rumble, or
I
because
mean-
of am I being unfair to Rumble or unfair to AJ?
Yeah.
You shouldn't put the phrase white supremacist with AJ. As much as
that's not
AJ
cool.
has
Oh no! I'm
flaws,
just saying
that
that's
is
what I've heard they have
unfair.
on Rumble. Like all
Thank
the
you, Fred.
Nazis and stuff,
My
they
lawyer
get
will be
kicked off
calling
YouTube.
you.
They go
you
to
basically
Rumble.
said that AJ goes there to listen to that. So I
Well,
don't know.
Listen,
man.
man,
Because-
I'm a
well,
man of like.
I'm not saying that
I go through
AJ
all sides.
is a white supremacist. What I'm saying
Damn it.
is
First of all, I'm not white.
AJ is trying to tell me there's good stuff
You're
on
white.
Rumble, and all I've
There
heard
is some
about
stuff. I've
Rumble
seen-
is that's where the Nazis go that get kicked off YouTube.
What?
That's all I'm saying.
What are you talking about?
Huh?
Dave. That's okay, dude.
Alex
That's
Jones
okay.
is on Rumble.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. Who doesn't like Alex Jones, Dave? Joe Rogan loves him.
Oh, apparently
something
Ringside
against
Report
Joe?
is on Rumble, so I take that back. We're apparently on Rumble too. I had no idea.
Way to go. Well, I'm happy because you know what? That's
Great.
where I actually went to go see a
Whoops.
lot of MMA shows on Rumble.
Are we on
So
BitChute?
Dave,
On
Freddie, hold on a
what?
sec. I'm waiting for Dave's apology. Don't worry, dude. I'll get it
Sorry,
on Saturday.
AJ.
If I don't get it tonight, okay, I accept.
Fuck you, AJ.
Jones is still losing on Saturday.
You suck, AJ.
Thank you to the production team.
I had no idea we were on Rumble. I never promoted that ever. I had no idea
Well,
we're on
you should.
Rumble. I thought
Well, I
I
go
Go
honestly
listen to us on
thought
Rumble.
I thought Rumble was like an alt-right streaming
No,
platform.
man. I go
No?
listen to MMA shows there, man. They have some good content.
I guess I'm just out of the loop. I don't know. I thought it was
Listen,
some
talk
sort
to
of
AJ,
alt-right
man. I'm up
platform.
to date with all like
Isn't that where
media and
Donald
all
Trump
that.
went?
Donald Trump is all over the place. He was on Twitter. He was on Facebook. He was on YouTube.
But he got kicked
Dude,
off
he's all
Twitter
over the
and he
place.
went on something else, didn't he?
No, he's back on
Is he
apparently.
back on
But the
Twitter?
thing is,
I don't know.
Elon
yeah, he's back on
put him
Twitter.
back, I think.
Yeah, man. Elon, send us some money. But listen, all to say is,
Send us some money.
send us some money. We're not
Sure,
asking for much,
okay.
dude.
A lot of it.
Just
Just
Elon.
be like
We
one of
want
our
a lot
top
of it.
chatters.
Yeah.
Listen, he loves MMA, Elon Musk. Like he was ready to box.
Send me a Tesla, man. I'm looking to change cars.
Good point.
I'll
Send
take
three.
$100,000.
Actually,
I
send
mean,
four.
really.
Send one for Dave, one for Johnny, one for me, one for Freddie for sure, because he needs it now because of the kids. Don't do it. Dave, you got to be more like, positive, man. Elon Musk.
I'd rather Elon send me some money so that I could buy a car that actually works right, not a Tesla. Give me a car that like
wonder if
humans
Elon-
can fix and you don't have to send back to whatever factory and wherever the hell these things are made. Could you like give me a regular car, Elon, and not like a Tesla? I don't want a Tesla. I'll take another electric car, just not a Tesla. I think they're
What?
they're gimmicky.
They're so nice, Teslas.
I think it's
No, they're cool.
I think it's a gimmick and I don't trust them. I don't trust Teslas
good
like to
cars.
last more than like 3 years, you know? I don't know. I've never been in one, but I don't trust them. There's something about it. I don't trust the whole. It's like I don't trust any car where the guy that like makes the car is a celebrity. You know what I mean? It's like, what the hell is that? What the hell is this?
What the hell happened?
Oh,
What's
this
going
is
on? You
us
see, that's what
Rumble.
happens when.
Oh, that was us on Rumble, I think.
Let me see again. I didn't see. I missed it.
Do it again.
We rumbling.
Could you do it again?
I like that Rumble.
No, I guess
Are
not.
you ready to rumble?
You know what I'm saying? It's like the DeLorean. You know what I mean? That didn't last.
Listen, man,
trust
the
a
DeLorean was
celebrity car
amazing, man.
company.
Back to the Future. You couldn't get a better car than that, Dave. Come on, man. Why are you such a
Yeah, but
hater,
it didn't
man?
last,
Feel like
AJ. It
technology.
didn't last. Oh my God.
I don't give a rat's ass, man.
There's
there we
Rumble.
are.
There's us on Rumble.
Wow. Well, now I'll have to go and I didn't even know that we were on Rumble, and I
Me
go there
neither.
to see all
I've
other
never
shows.
even seen Rumble. All
Wow,
right.
it's
we're on
great. Like,
BitChute.
I don't know what that is.
Bitch, shoot, what is it? A porn site?
I mean, they've qualified Rumble as a right wing whatever. I think BitChute probably falls under the same category.
Okay, and let's finally get to the thing that AJ got mad about. Dan Lambert, who runs the American Top Team, which
Well,
is
hold
he
on a
owns
sec.
the American Top Team, which is a huge gym out in Florida. A lot of great champions fight out of there.
Yeah,
was on
let
the
me
Chris-
say it 2 seconds.
He,
Okay, I'll go.
let
go
me
ahead,
read
Dave.
the quote, motherfucker, and then you can say. Fuck. Let me say 2 seconds. Here is Dan Lambert, his quotes on the Chris Jericho podcast. He says, pro wrestlers, other than taking a complete beating that most of my MMA guys would never even want to touch with a 10-foot pole, they take such pride in their work, and when they're fortunate enough to put themselves in a position to win a title, they're so proud of that title, it's a lifetime of work. Are you offended by that? That pro wrestlers take a beating that most MMA guys would never ever want to touch?
No, I'm not gonna deny certain things because, like, as a ref in an actual wrestling match that I saw, like, right up and close with people flying over, man. Seeing our own Johnny North wrestling, these guys take a beating, like a real beating. And I was saying earlier, man, like when you look at like old wrestlers, man, from the WWE, even Hulk Hogan just recently, man, these guys go through such a beating where they don't have the best quality of life. Like, if they're not in wheelchairs, they're dead because of whatever. We've seen Dark Side of the Ring, and there's a lot of horrible stories.
We understand wrestlers take a beating. What's offensive to you about that statement?
Dan Lambert, I'm going to tell you what's offensive. Dan Lambert, man, you know, yeah, he's done a few wrestling shows and whatever. But let's be honest, man. When it comes to Dan Lambert, an American Top Team, he can say whatever he wants. But it was Ricardo Laborio. If it wasn't for him, there would be no American Top Team. And you know what? Dan Lambert could say whatever the hell he wants because because you know what? I just have a beef with him on that. Because he got rid of Ricardo Laborio.
You got no point.
I do have a point. He can say whatever he wants. But let him go up against like Jon Jones or a Nagano.
He's not saying any of that. What the fuck are you talking about? And here he is. I'll read you another quote that you can misunderstand. All right?
Okay,
here's
go ahead.
Dan Lambert on Chris Jericho's podcast. More on MMA stars transitioning to pro wrestling. He says, I probably got 5 or 6 guys at our gym, guys that have been UFC world champions that have crossed over and done pro wrestling. And to a man, they say that what goes on in a wrestling ring is 5 times harder than what they go through. They're like, I would rather fight in a one-night tournament with 16 other MMA guys than go do what these idiots do in one night.
What? These idiots? He actually said that?
Well, he's saying that the MMA guys think that the pro wrestling guys are kind of crazy, that they might be idiots because they're putting their bodies through things voluntarily. In MMA, the goal is to win a fight while taking as little damage as possible. That's not the goal in pro wrestling. The goal in pro wrestling is to put on a show by putting your body through hell. And usually, if you could put your body through as much hell as possible, you're going to put on a very good show. Okay? If you look at a guy like, you know, Mick Foley, who jumped off the Hell in a Cell, right? Undertaker choke slammed him through it. The guy has taken a vicious beating, has taken a vicious amount of punishment on his body. Most MMA guys, most human beings would not want to take a choke slam through a cell with the chair falling down on you and landing in your face to the point where your teeth go up through your nose. MMA fighters don't want that to happen. But Mick Foley, being a professional wrestler, recognized that there was art in that violence, that if he did that, he would get the sympathy of the crowd and the match would be better, and it would be a match that, I don't know if he realized it at the time or not, but it would be a match that people would be talking about for 30, 40, 50 years down the line, and that is the art of professional wrestling and putting your body on the line, and that is a big difference than what MMA fighters do. The art in MMA is to be able to inflict the damage on your opponent. The artful violence in mixed martial arts is that beautiful spinning head kick that knocks your opponent out clean. Who's the artist there? Who is the guy that is displaying his art? It's the aggressor. It is the guy that is taking no damage, that is delivering the damage. MMA and pro wrestling are very different in that aspect. In pro wrestling, you put your body through hell. And if you don't, you're looked at as a phony, as a guy that doesn't deserve it, that doesn't belong, that isn't really a professional wrestler. If that is not the mentality in MMA. If it was, it would be a very, very short career for pretty much everybody. That's not what you want to be. You don't want to be known as the world's toughest fighter. You want to be known as the world's most technical fighter who takes no damage and wins all of his fights. So I don't know what the hell you took offense about there, AJ, but I understood exactly what Dan Lambert was saying, and it made a ton of sense to me as a guy who has a tremendous love and respect for both pro wrestling and MMA. It's fine.
Well, I'm going to tell you this, Dave. You just sold me. You made me convinced that you're absolutely right. Dan Lambert didn't. You made me think about it a little bit deeper. You said it a lot better. I understood it a lot better. And you know what? Yeah, it makes sense. But don't call them idiots. These guys are like high-level athletes, pro wrestlers. What they do, man, is incredible. Idiots.
I mean, you got to be a little bit of an idiot to hurl yourself off a ladder. You got to be a little crazy. I'm not an idiot, but a little bananas, you know?
Yeah, like a stuntman, man.
What I love about
these guys are like stuntmen, and what they do is incredible. Looking at Johnny North when he fights and what he does, I'm like, damn, like it's insane. Yep. You know, it's just like I tip my hat to all pro wrestlers because, man, they put on a show and people love it. Gotta give it to
But
them,
even
man.
Johnny
Gotta
North,
give it
right?
to
Like
them.
Johnny North isn't wrestling a Hell in a Cell and throwing himself off a cell, but he is wrestling guys where, like a guy like Drew Onyx, right? Johnny North is chopping Drew Onyx as hard as he can in the chest, and then Drew Onyx is chopping him right back, right? Just chopping him,
400
chopping him,
pounds.
chopping him. And I was talking to Louis Ho, who is a jiu-jitsu black belt who runs the 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu School where Fred and I go, and Louis was talking about chops, right? Do you remember this, Fred? Were you there when when I told Louis to chop me? And I was like, yeah, in wrestling they just chop each other. They hit each other as hard as they can, bam, right in the chest, right? And I was like, Louis, chop me. I could take a chop. It's fine, you know? And Louis chopped me, and Louis could kick my ass 10 different ways, and I'll never beat Louis. He's ridiculously good. He's a tremendous black belt. He's tremendous at jiu-jitsu. But his chop was the worst. He had the worst chop I ever felt in my life. It felt like nothing. I was like, Louis, you could really hit me. He's like, no, I'm going to hurt my hand. I don't want to do it, you know? Like, there's a difference between martial artists who could kill you with their bare hands and pro wrestlers. Like, Louis could beat up most pro wrestlers, but he wouldn't want to take a chop from Johnny North because it would hurt, and it may drop him because it really hurts. But, you know, in wrestling, you let your opponent do that type of shit to you. In MMA, in jiu-jitsu, whatever, you're trying to not let your opponent do that, right? Like, and that's a big difference. You know, it's
Well, it's
pro
interesting.
wrestling, you're allowing yourself to be beaten up. In MMA and in martial arts, you're trying to just beat somebody up. You don't want to allow yourself to get beaten up. And when you do, it's usually in the training room, and it's for, you know, a learning experience and stuff like that, right? But it's completely different businesses, completely different sports, and
But
AJ,
it's interesting
you
that
don't
you're.
need to be mad.
No, I'm not mad at all. I was just like, you made it much more clear, and you know what? You're absolutely right. I just didn't like the comment of, like, you know, the idiots part. But I was just thinking of something. You know, we were talking about power slap and whatnot before. I see some of those shots on power slap with Dana White, and some of the power behind those power slaps is what I saw in the ring with, like, Johnny North. He took some of those chops, man, to his back and to his chest, which literally, like, opened him up.
Yeah,
Like, he was bleeding, and I'm like, damn, like, that's. You're right. I wouldn't want to take a slap like that
no.
on any part of my body.
And you feel
but
it in
these
your
guys
chest.
can take it.
I mean, imagine
Well, you can hear it
getting
vibrate throughout
slapped.
the room.
Imagine getting slapped so hard on your back and chest that you start to bleed, right?
Crazy.
And we've seen Johnny do this, and he does this knowing full well, right? Like I'm exposing a little bit of pro wrestling here, but I think we're all adults and we understand. Like, he's allowing his opponent to chop him and to do this to him. You know, it's part of pro wrestling, and a lot of MMA guys wouldn't want to do that. They would not want to do that. Junior Dos Santos loved it, though. Chris Jericho told a story on the same podcast that I listened to that was excellent, by the way. He told the story about Junior Dos Santos, who wrestled in AEW, and Jericho said, I'm going to put you through a table here. He's like, do you think Dos Santos would want to go through a table? And they're like, yeah, I think probably, you know. And he's like, all right, I'm going to put you through a table here. And he's like, Dos Santos was like, really? Oh, thank you. That's awesome. I'm so happy. Like, he was pumped that he got to go through a table because, you know, it's a wrestling match, and he doesn't get to do it very often. He had one match in AEW, and they put him through a table, and apparently he was very excited about taking that bump. So some MMA fighters are very excited about doing it and want to do it, and others not so much. Like Paige Van Zandt apparently signed to AEW at one point, and she did one match and disappeared. So it's not for everybody in MMA. It's not easy to cross over from MMA to pro wrestling, which is why I give Ronda Rousey so much credit, because she has been fantastic.
Yeah, I was going to say, even Cain Velasquez, man, when he went into wrestling, unfortunately, like, you know, things kind of soured out. I don't know what's happening. Actually, I'm going to have to look into Cain, man. Free Cain, man. Free Cain.
Well, he was free.
Was he?
Well, he was freed, right, on bail, or he got paroled, right, at one point. And he wrestled. He had a match at some point. He's wrestled since the arrest. He's had a match.
Has he?
Yes.
So he's officially out of prison right now.
Well,
good
yeah,
news,
but
man.
there's going to be a trial of some sort. He's on bail. Okay.
Free Cain, man.
Well, he's technically free. All right. UFC 285 watch along coming up on Saturday night. We'll be here 10 p.m. Eastern time right here on the Ringside Report Network. A big thanks to Patrick C. Hamilton. You are the super chat leader of the night. Thank you to all the members. Join.ringsidereport.net. Join.ringsidereport.net if you have not joined already. And that's it. Fred, anything else? Kyle Busch? Go Kyle Busch. Is he racing this weekend?
Yes, he's in Vegas in his hometown, so I expect him to have a good showing, man. It's the Kyle Busch season, man.
There you go. Kyle Busch season. And we will all be back here 10 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday night. A huge weekend here on the Ringside Report Network. I'll be back here tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern time for Wrestling Uncensored. We'll be previewing the AEW Revolution pay-per-view, which goes down on Sunday. So we're here tonight. I'll be back tomorrow at 10 p.m. with Johnny North right after SmackDown. AJ, Fred, and I'll be back 10 p.m. on Saturday night for the UFC 285 watch-along, and then I'll be back on Sunday night, late night, with my brother doing the AEW Revolution post-show. So a very busy weekend for me here, guys. We got shows starting tonight, every night, Sunday night, 4 shows in a row here. So the Revolution preview tomorrow night, and then the Revolution post-show on Sunday and Saturday night, that UFC 285 watch-along. A busy weekend for you here on the Ringside Report Network.
Please join in and give your support to Ringside Report Network. We've been providing expert coverage and commentary on both pro wrestling and MMA for over 15 years. Go to ringsidereport.net/support to find out more ways to support the channel.